Awesome, guys. Well, super excited. Thanks for everybody for joining today. We're going to jump right into this. Yeah, so today we're going to chat about how to increase your close rate. The last 3 years in a row at BAD, we've been managed to hit exactly a 69% close rate for 3 years in a row. We're going to keep that running. And so I want to talk to you guys today about how you guys can increase your closing percentage as high as possible, but also go over a bunch of amazing things around mindset, frame, as well as exact frameworks that we use at Bad Marketing. So let's jump right into it. The number one thing that I hear from you guys in the agency space is that I don't have enough leads, which is why we're not collecting enough cash, which is why we're not growing. And the point I want to drill home to today is that you do not need a lot of leads for you guys to be able to collect a lot of cash and grow your agency very, very quickly. This is like the foundation of why Bad Marketing has grown so aggressively in the last like 4 or 5 years is because our sales systems are amazing. We've been able to close a significant amount of deals with not a ton of lead flow. And you guys are going to be really surprised about how much lead flow we're working with at Bad Marketing. I think some of you guys will be a little bit surprised.
Let me preface this too. The
Yeah,
reason you guys think this is because we all have egos, and everyone here, for the most part, thinks they're fucking incredible at selling. They think they're the best closer, and most of us don't want to admit that we actually have a sales problem because you're comparing yourself to usually your employees, right? So you're like, oh, I'm a fucking killer closer. I close at fucking 40%, and my guys can barely close at 10. I'm like way more of a savage. I don't need to learn any more about closing, but that is far from the case. And I think we have some screenshots here to even show you guys what it looks like. But you can see the few amount of demos. These are some people that we coach, and then we'll show you some of our numbers too. But like, this is someone that Curtis personally coaches one-on-one. 21 demo calls taken, 13 close rate 62%, cash collected 55K. That's recurring revenue, right? So
yeah. Oh,
like,
this is a local lead gen agency too, guys. This isn't like a high ticket e-com offer, info offer. Not a ton of lead flow. And then these are some numbers from us at Bad. And you guys be a little bit surprised, right? Some of these like 18 live demos, and this is over a month, right? We're not taking a crazy high amount of lead flow when it comes to demos taken. We're still able to collect 6-figure cash collected months with very, very few sales calls to give you guys kind of an idea.
and these are literally just Curtis's numbers, guys. Like, these aren't my numbers, respectfully, too, on top of it. Like, these are just Curtis's numbers, right? And so we're able to collect that. And it's not like I even have time to take 19 demos a month. You know what I mean? I'm taking maybe 10, right? But I'm cash collecting just about as much as he is on a regular monthly basis. Most of the time more. Sometimes he beats me, but for the most part, we're pretty equal. So you can imagine, like, we're taking what, 30 demos a month, and we're crushing these numbers. And then on our local business side too, we're taking, 20, 30 demos a month, and we're also closing, 3/4 of them. So I just want to preface, a lot of you guys think, oh man, I just need to like spend more money on ads. I need to like do more outbound marketing. I need to go knock on doors. I need to cold call. I need lead gen. Yes, yes, yes. That's all true. But like, the core problem is the closing percentage and also the pricing that you guys have, right? A lot of people that we work with, we coach, even ourselves, like, a big lift that we have is just literally increasing pricing and increasing close rate. If we can do both of those, we can literally like 4x the output that the business is doing with the same exact lead flow. And then you can just start thinking for yourselves. A lot of you guys, I know you guys in the chat, you can get way more than 19 scheduled calls a month. If you can get 19 scheduled calls a week, what would your numbers look like, right? If we go back one slide again, Curtis, like local lead gen offer, like, if this guy can do 21 demos a month and you can do 21 demos a week on the same exact numbers, you would be doing 220 grand a month extra recurring revenue just because you can put up 21 demos a week, right? And so that game is a game that a lot of you guys have already cracked, and you can just put up ridiculous amounts of demos. What we're trying to cover today is like how to get way more out of the same amount of demos that you guys have. So you can
100%.
skip forward, Curtis, and go back to you, bro.
Sweet. So on today's kind of game plan here, we're going to cover a few different things. And when it comes to Bad Marketing sales systems specifically and kind of what we focus on, these are super important. And I think a lot of you guys, when you think of sales, you think of like just your sales call, but there's so much more that goes into it. And so we're going to be covering that today. So how to build authority without having a big brand. This is massive. This is so important for you guys. The authority part is what I want to drill home, especially in B2B sales. The goal is not to be liked. The goal is to be authority in the space. We're going to talk about that specifically. The unexpected standard all right, which we're going to chat about, which is how to make your sales process incredible. A lot of you guys just have a really boring sales process of somebody auto booking on your calendar and then they get Zoom notifications. Like, what a great sales system. So, we're going to talk about how to improve that. And then also, we're going to talk about the agency closer framework. So, the framework that I've made at Bad Marketing with Eddie over the last 4 years that we use on every single sales call to a T. And we're going to show you guys exactly what that looks like. Awesome. Before I dive into this, give a bit of an intro to who we are. Some of you might not know who I am. I'm sure everybody knows who you are, Eddie. So I'll give you a bit of an intro. My name is Curtis Anderton. I am head of sales at Bad Marketing and have been for the last 4 years. I also run a company called Agency Closers where we work with sales teams, specifically in the agency space. I've been in B2B sales basically my whole life. I started door-to-door sales for my dad's landscaping company. And then after that, I went to a software company with my brother, actually, that eventually exited that took me into the e-com and the agency space. So for the last 10 years, all I've done is B2B sales. I've never really worked with coaching offers or anything like that. So everything we're going to talk about today is extremely specific towards agency services specifically. This isn't like an info system that we've put into the agency space. We've built this specifically for agencies. That's a bit about me. Still actively at Bad Marketing. And I'm going to tell a bit of story about this in a second, but the only person that will close Eddie.
Yeah, you want to tell the rest of the story?
Yeah. So obviously, Eddie, a lot of people don't realize this. But everybody knows Eddie for marketing. I've had the absolute pleasure and blessing to be able to be behind the scenes with him over the last 4 years. And I would actually argue that marketing is not his like biggest skill. I think that sales is actually the thing that he's probably the best at, in my opinion. But nobody gets to see that because you guys only see him in like online at events, speaking, talking about marketing. And so everything I've learned has kind of come from watching his calls, being on calls with him. And so we have a bit of an ongoing challenge between the two of us on who can close more each month. And this has been going on for the last 4 years. It's taken me quite a long time to be able to keep up with him because just for you guys, obviously Eddie's running a 200-person company along with 8 other companies on the side. So he's very, very busy, but there's always been this ongoing kind of competition. Last year, I managed to beat him for about 5 months in a row. Now, he was traveling a lot, doing some things. That was his excuses, but was able to consistently beat him in those numbers. And eventually I poked the bear enough where he basically said, Curtis, you don't want me to actually try. And I was like, well, let's see what you got. And in the next 24 hours, he collected over 150K in cash just to prove a point and just completely destroyed me that month in a single day. So that's what I had to deal with on a regular basis at Bad. Eddie's pretty modest about this. Like in January, he did 165K in cash collected by himself, while running Bad Marketing and doing a ton of traveling and speaking and running amazing family at home with 2 kids. So he's not going to say that himself, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna say this publicly to all these people and brag like that, but like just for context for you guys on the call, that's just Bad Marketing recurring revenue sales, right? That's not like
yeah,
all the other businesses that I'm also moving revenue for. So just keep that in mind. And I say all this to say, here's the important part, and this is why this call is so valuable for everyone sitting on here, is Curtis came in, you said 4 years. It's been that long, bro? I thought it was
4 years.
3 years.
No, it's
I
4.
know it was like June, July. So basically Curtis came in and Curtis was trash at closing agency sales. Like his close rates were awful. We almost considered firing Curtis after a month. And mine were just like retarded. Like, right, I was closing like 80-90% of everyone. And some of you guys might think these are warm leads. Not the case. We were literally, especially at the time, like we had no brand. We're just closing all through straight ads. And Curtis always was like asking me like, what is like, how do you close? Like, what's your system? Like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I just get on the call and I like do my thing, and then they fucking pay me money at the end of the call. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, I don't know why it's so hard. And like, I'm sure a lot of you guys even have the same problem. You don't really have like a framework that you're following. You're just like, as an owner, you know your business, you know your clients. So you get on, you close, you do business, you hire a closer. Closer's trash because they don't have a framework. They don't know how you think, and so they don't have your experience, and so they're trash compared to you, right? And so over time, Curtis starts watching my calls. He starts taking my recordings. He starts looking at how I audit his calls. And then he basically turned Eddie Malouf into a framework essentially. And then all of a sudden, Curtis starts closing at, what you saw, 69%. Some months he's closing 80% plus of his actual live demos. And it's because he is the first person that actually took the way I close with no structure and structured it into a way that makes sense. And he's polished it over the years. And so today, what we're going to be showing you guys is the exact framework step by step that I use without realizing this is how I sell it in order to sell, which has now allowed Curtis to replicate that. And then, most importantly, Curtis has been able to go teach other agency owners the same thing and coach them one on one and help them replicate that same process and dramatically increase their close rates too. So, this is a system that's been tested. This isn't just like a theoretical Eddie Malouf close like this. Maybe it works. Curtis has been doing this for a while with other people and himself. And so that is what we're showing you guys today. So I just want to preface this all, the whole story, why it's me, why it's Curtis, why we're both involved, and so that you guys kind of get the whole background. Now let's jump in right to the actual content. Curtis, take it away, bro, and then I'll keep chiming in as we go.
Beautiful. So the first thing I want to drill home here, guys, is this concept of the unexpected standard. So when you guys are thinking about your sales process, I want you guys to stop thinking about it as this like really simple thing of like somebody sees an ad, they look at your VSL, they book on your calendar, they auto show up, and maybe you got some automations in place, and then you show up and take your sales call, right? Your sales experience starts before. We're going to get into that a bit more specifically in the frame, but your sales experience, it needs to be an experience. It needs to be something that as soon as somebody clicks on an ad or sees your cold email and they opt in, that they have an experience that they go through. Okay. And so an example of this is I like to use this analogy of like a white glove service experience. So if you could think about it this way, if you guys go to like a random cheap hotel or a motel, you show up, you walk yourself into the lobby, you talk to somebody who's not paying attention to you, they tell you, give you your room key, and then you get lost trying to find your room. You get in there, it's a really boring experience, right? Whereas if you have like a white glove experience, you go to like a 5-star hotel, for example, you as soon as you drive up, somebody opens your door, they welcome you, they get your name, they grab your bags for you, they guide you inside, they open the door, right? And they make this incredible experience that makes you remember that hotel experience forever, right? And that's the analogy I like to use in the sales experience. And so you guys need to start looking at ways, how do we make a better process experience for our prospects when they come into our agency? And this is the thing, what we get the most, what feedback we get at Bad Marketing the most when it comes to our sales process is it's actually nothing about like bad marketing specifically. It's all about you guys had a better sales process than anybody else that we talked to. It's clear that you guys know what you're doing. And so I'll give you some examples of this. But basically, when you guys are going through your sales process, I'll give you the exact example at Bad Marketing. Somebody opts in at Bad. You guys would be surprised. We have no automations in place at Bad Marketing. Our sales process is all manual. This has come through a lot of testing, but as soon as somebody opts into one of our funnels, they click on an ad, they come into our ecosystem. Within 5 minutes, they're going to get a manual call from our sales team, from Wendy, our appointment setter, or Alex, or somebody will call them up immediately and have a really great first qualifying discussion where we're qualifying them to see if they're going to be a good fit for us, obviously. Then they manually are booking onto my calendar. I'm giving them a heads up through iMessage to say, hey, I'm looking forward to meeting with you. And there's this great hands-on experience with real human beings that guides somebody through a sales process. And then we're going to get into like the frame aspect of this in a little bit. But this is so important. And you guys need to start looking for ways that you can create a better front-end experience for your clients. It's going to go such a long ways. Because this is the thing, guys. A lot of you guys in the agency space are doing the exact same thing as everybody else. Everybody here in some form are running ads, maybe doing go high level funnel with landing pages. Maybe you have a setting team that helps your clients. It's all the same. So how do you differentiate yourselves? You have a better experience.
Let me give it a last example. Think about, and the key here, guys, is the word unexpected. Okay, if they expect a certain experience, it's completely different, right? But if it's unexpected, if it's something that other people aren't doing and it's this big, it goes a long way. So I'll give you an example. You ever like have, I don't know if you guys have the scenario, but like someone like, cleans your house and all of a sudden like, the toilet paper is folded and stamped a certain way, or like the towel is made into like, a dove on your bed or whatever the case is. Little things like that are just like so minuscule, but like elevate the experience by 100% is what we're talking about, right? So don't think that like your whole process needs to change. It's like, what can I do? One thing that's different. Example, like speed to lead via iMessage is what we do. So we have high speed to lead, but it's all manual via iMessage. And they feel like one, it's really fast. Two, they're shocked that it's even a blue text in the first place, right? That is an unexpected thing. Most of the time they respond, how are you automating blue text? And then we go, it's not automated, we're just texting you. And then they're like, that's fucking sick that you guys even took the time to do that, right? When we're dealing with these high value prospects, business owners, like that is sick. Yes, there are ways to automate blue text. You guys can use I prefer High Blue personally. I think Ralph
Yeah.
Oliver's even in the chat here too. He uses High Blue. He owns High Blue, but personally, we just do it through automated. We don't automate it. We just do it literally through like iPhones. I bought iPhones for everyone on the team. They have their own iPhone numbers, and that's what they use.
Yeah. Really quickly on this topic, I think it's really interesting. A couple of years ago, it was like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we had a really big 9-figure company come through as a lead. We had 3 different people reach out to them and got no word back. Like we got no responses whatsoever. Eddie was like, well, let me just try because it's a big lead. Shoots one iMessage and they respond immediately. And then he asked us, do you guys have iPhones? And none of us had iPhones. And so we immediately, like literally that same day, bought 3 iPhones, sent it out to the team. We saw like over a 45% increase in response rates just by using iMessage. So if you guys are not doing this, this is massive and you need to be using iPhones for your sales process. If you have a sales team, get your sales team using iPhones. Obviously, High Blue, for example, is a great option as well. But will be a game changer for you guys when it comes to your sales process. So going into kind of this next stage here, we're talking about frameworks. Now, I talk a lot about frameworks online. If you guys follow me on social media, this is something that I kind of like will just drill home 24/7. Your sales process needs to be a system. I want you guys, a lot of you might have lots of SOPs for the back end and operations and fulfillment. You have to have an SOP for your sales process. This is so important. The reason for this and why this is so important is that if you have a sales process that is the same on every single call, you are going to create consistency. So now you're going to know what's working, what's not working, why you're getting a certain objection, and you can actually start to make changes. But the big thing here for context, guys, like bad marketing a couple of years ago, we'd have really big months, really low months, really big months, really low months. Last year, I averaged around 100K in cash collected every single month for the entire year. And that makes such a massive difference for cash flow. And that's just my side. That's not Eddie sales. And so the big thing I drill home is consistency over everything. And if you are winging your sales calls and you're not actually following a process on every single call, you do not have a system. You guys are just kind of like winging it on your call, and you're gonna leave a lot on the table. A big thing here also is this prevents objections. If you have a really clear framework that you follow in every single call, you can actually pre-cover all of your objections. And at the end of your sales call, you're gonna either have an objectionless close, or you are going to know exactly what is coming and be prepared to handle it. I say this a lot. I really don't like closing or sales trainers that push all this objection handling training. In my opinion, it's lazy. If you're really good at objection handling, it means you are not properly dealing with your objections in discovery when you should be. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Another thing, guys, is this is what is going to allow you, and I know majority of you guys in the chat right now are agency owners that are still selling. This is going to allow you to remove yourself from sales, right? Like we talked about when I joined Eddie, at Bad, we didn't have a specific framework that I could follow to replicate what he was doing. And so if you guys implement a framework like this, you can bring on another closer who can watch your calls, follow your framework, and actually close within your agency within like a week, right? If I can't step into your agency right now and follow a process on paper and close a deal, you guys don't have a sales process, right? And that's the difference between why you're able to replace yourself in the future and actually like not be working 24/7. So this is really, really important. And then finally, a framework allows you guys to A/B test. You guys can play around with different offers, different price points, different questions, and actually know what's working and what's not working. For example, if I get a ton of partner objections, I know that I need to talk about that more in the partner start of our part of our framework, which we're going to talk about in a second. And so all of this stuff can take place if you have a proper framework. Now, the big thing I want to drill home, guys, is this works for every agency, okay? Whether you're selling a $1,500 package or you're selling a 30K a month package, this framework works exactly for any niche, whether you're car dealerships, local paint company, e-com info, whatever you guys do, this will be super relevant for you guys. All right. So we're gonna jump into the framework. You guys with me? Give me a thumbs up. We're gonna have a good pace here. I talk at 2x speed.
Bro, these are agency owners. They love 2x speed. They
Good.
listen to voice notes on 2x and podcasts on 2x.
That's what I want to hear. All right, beautiful. So we're gonna jump into it now. We are going to go through the exact framework again that we're using on every single sales call. Um, we to start all of this off, guys, the most important part of your entire sales call is the frame. And when I say frame, it is how we are positioning ourselves on our sales calls to be the authority on the call. All right. Now the frame starts before your sales calls, which we're going to talk a little bit about. We've already covered a little bit about this, but it all happens before you jump on a call.
Some of you guys don't do what we're about to say, and you show up to the call already framed as less than your prospect. And it's same, I mean, it seems like mainly I got dudes in here, so like you guys will understand. It's like going up to a chick that's like the most sought after chick and you have no positioning. She doesn't even care who you are, right? But if you're the dude who's on stage, she doesn't even know what you are. She just sees you on stage. She wants you because you're in a higher position. It's very similar. It's sales is the exact same. Business owners think the same way. Don't be fooled. Business owners look up to athletes, they look up to celebrities, they look up to other business people, they look up to content creators. And so this exactly, there should be a status delta between you and the prospect. Exactly, Lee. And so like this starts before the call. We do the smallest things, and Curtis is the first person to help me realize this because I do these things naturally, and he's like, bro, like the shit you do that like frames you in like such a higher light. I was like, oh, I just thought this was kind of obvious stuff. He's like, no, like other people, I coach so many people, they don't do this stuff, right? And so like just understand what we're about to show you seems so small, guys, but like you show up to the call already in charge and you don't have to take charge of the call. Like all these people talk about like first thing you gotta own the call and all this stuff. Like cool. Let's talk about before the call because there's usually a few days between the time that someone books a call or time someone even fills out a form all the way until the call. How are you owning the frame in that time, right?
So basically going off what we just talked about, a couple things that I want you guys to start thinking about, okay? When it comes to status and frame, there's a few things that you guys can start doing to start to like subliminally build this for you within your sales process. So for example, in my sales process, and if you guys have ever read the book 48 Laws of Power, this is part of one of the laws, is you have to make sure your prospects are coming to you. And even if you guys are doing cold outbound, you can still do this exact same thing, all right? So for example, what I do is I make sure that if somebody's booking on my calendar, they are using my link no matter what. If I have a really big brand that comes through, they're a 9-figure company, and they're like, hey, Curtis, looking forward to our chat. Here's my meeting link. Find a time that works for you. I will completely ignore it and be like, hey, looking forward to chatting with you. Here's my meeting link. Find a time that works for you. And I make sure that they book on my calendar. And sometimes our setting team hates this, but it's a big thing for me. And so everybody always is coming to my house, our house, right? And again, this is part of building that authority is having people come to you, kind of playing like a little bit hard to get. Qualifying everyone. This is something, and I believe that Eddie does extremely well, is when you're hopping on a sales call and you're needy and you're really, really wanting to get this client because you need that cash, because you're really wanting to get to your first 30K month, whatever it is, people feel that, right? And so again, going off of this concept of playing a little bit hard to get, we have to qualify our prospects, meaning when they come in, we are asking them hard hitting questions like we're interviewing a new employee, right? We're asking them questions that they can't answer. We're asking them questions that maybe makes them a little bit nervous, and qualifying them like, are you even worth me working with? And when you guys can really embody this, people are really attracted to this because then again, you're going to be the authority. The analogy I kind of use on calls is that we are always playing a status game when it comes to B2B sales. This is very different for B2C, but B2B sales, there's a status game being played. You need to hop on, you start the call strong, you have a little bit more authority. You're controlling the call, you have a little bit more authority, right? You're asking questions that they say like, oh, I don't know how to answer that. You have more authority. And ideally, you're not doing this all the time, right? And so that is a huge part of this is asking really hard hitting questions and qualifying your prospects. The next thing is protecting your process. And so what I mean by protecting your process is that you guys have experienced this, I guarantee it. People will come onto your sales calls and they will try to change what you are doing on your call, your process to get what they want. Just tell me the
Yo,
price.
Curtis, what's the price? Curtis, what's the price,
Yeah,
bro? Just give me the price.
exactly, right? They're cutting you off. They're like, just tell me the price. I talk to all these different agencies. You guys do the same thing. What's different about you, right? And you can't let that happen. You have to assert yourself and make sure they are following your process. Whether it's being cut off in your discovery, you want to make sure you get around that. Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a second, but first tell me more about X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you actually have to set the tone of like, hey, Eddie, listen, man, like I need to ask these questions. If I'm going to know if I'm going to be able to even help you, you have to let me do this. And if not, maybe we could just like end the call here. And sometimes you have to do that to kind of show that, hey, no, this is my house. You're coming into kind of our world, and it's not the other way around. Now, another aspect of this, guys, is things like objection handling around price. In the last 4 years, I have not discounted a price at Bad Marketing more than twice. We never discount our service whatsoever. Somebody asks us, can you guys do cheaper? No. Hard no. Not even an option. And again, we're holding a standard and we're controlling our process. And sometimes people go away going like, well, I'm just not going to work with you. It doesn't actually happen very often if you do all these things right. And finally, a lot of you guys, probably all of you, I'm going to be honest, this is the number one thing that I have to break when it comes to working with agency owners, is the game is not to be liked. Everybody's like, well, I want to build rapport. I want to build long-term relationships. The game is showcase authority, that you are the utmost expert at what you guys are going to be working with that client on. And then once they're a client, build an amazing relationship long-term, right? But the sales call is not the time to show that let's have a beer together, right? And so I want you guys to get rid of this concept of like, I want to be liked. I want to like have fun. I want to give them a great experience. And it's like, no, that's not the point of the sales call. Stop trying to be liked. This is really important.
Guys, they will work with the best. They will not, I promise you. Like, yes, being liked is a part of it. Don't get me wrong. And don't totally misunderstand this and be a complete dick to all your prospects and everything. But you have to understand, when you're especially going toe to toe with other people who are potentially being shopped as well, at the end of the day, they are going to pick who they truly believe has the highest chance of making them win and who is the most organized so far in the sales process, right? That is a huge determining factor. And even if they think you were a little harsh or a little blunt or a little direct to the point and didn't like how you did it, they will choose you because it is their business. This isn't like they're buying a car where all cars are the same, right? And they're like, you know what? I really like John. John was like a lot nicer to my wife. Like, no, that's not how this is. This is their business. This is their money. This is their livelihood. They're betting on the best player, right? And at the end of the day, you not phasing from your process makes you the best player, right? If they can go toss you around from the sales call, they will toss you around from the fulfillment too. So don't be fooled, guys. If someone will toss you around before they even give you money, they will toss you 10 times harder when they give you money and they feel like you owe them for it, right? And so if you guys have to draw a line, and I will tell you, someone was asking, what does the process look like in real time and stuff. At the end of the day, if someone is trying to break our process, we stop, we pause the call, we set them straight, we say, hey, dude, listen, this is how we do the calls. If it's not something you like and you're not comfortable with, totally cool. Maybe we're just not a good fit, because at the end of the day, we know what kind of clients we work with. We know how to get them results, and we have the results to do it. And the reason we do it is because we follow the same exact process every time. Whether you do $100 million a year or whether you do $1 million a year, this is the same process. And if it's not something that you want to follow, we're probably not a good fit, because when you start working with us, we also have processes that help us scale. And if you are not willing to allow us to follow those processes too, we're not even going to get you the results. So I just want to be on the same page. Like, I want you to win and you want me to win for you at the end of the day. And this is the best way to do it. And if you're uncomfortable with that, totally cool, bro. Maybe it's not a good fit, but if you're cool with me actually proceeding forward and doing this, and just give me 5 to 10 more minutes here to figure this out, we'll be on the same page, and I promise it'll be worth it, right? Boom,
100%.
locked in. They can make a decision to leave or not. If they leave, great. Low-key, they're probably a dick and you don't want them as a client anyways, right?
100%. 100%. If they walk over you in the sales process, they're going to walk all over your account managers and CSMs in the back end. 100%.
Yep, every time.
This is the analogy that I like to use. I don't know if you guys get this meme or not. But if you picked up a phone call and this person was like, hey, it's Jeff, you'd be like, who are you, Jeff? Like, I don't care. Why are you calling me? Right? If Jeff Bezos calls you and is like, hey, this is Jeff Bezos, you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm on the phone with Jeff Bezos. You're going to be listening better. You're going to be asking very specific questions. You're probably not going to like challenge them, right? Because he's got so much authority. And so this is kind of the analogy I always talk about is you want to be the Jeff Bezos on a call. All right. All right. So a couple little things, guys. And going off of this, some of you guys asked, like, give us an example. So how you can set control over your sales calls is you got to be first every single time. And I want you guys to practice this. I used to do this a lot in public settings. Be the first to say hello. Be the first to smile at somebody. Be the first to reach out and shake a hand. At an event, if you're the first to reach out to dap somebody up, you are in control of that interaction, right? Be the first to say, I got to get going, right? Same thing in the sales call. As soon as I see somebody join a Zoom meeting and that little red microphone goes off of mute, I'm talking immediately. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? Right? A big part of this is we don't build rapport at bad marketing. I'm not going to ask you how the weather is. I'm not going to ask you how you like what you're doing and what you're eating for lunch. We're going to get right to the point. So first to interact them on Zoom, and then you immediately start your call, which we're going to talk about after this.
Just to be clear, you build rapport with like one sentence, right? Like for
Oh
example,
yeah,
my go-to is like, because usually I'm dealing with an older crowd. I'm like, I say something about my kids, and then I go, "Oh, do you have kids?" And then they say yes, and then we go talk about our kids, and they feel all like lovey-dovey that like now we relate that we both have kids, right? So like for me, rapport is based on relatability, right? When before a bunch of you guys, now there's hundreds of people in the chat, but like when there was like 10 of us to start, like 20 minutes before the thing started, someone asked about sports, right? And like to me, that's mega relevant, right? And that's probably one of the best ways to build rapport with me is if you bring something up in sports, like, and you know me, I like sports, like I'll go back and forth and I'll be like, yo, I really fuck with this guy. He's all about sports, right? And so doing a little bit of research on your prospect, looking online, figuring out like maybe something they like to do. Maybe this guy fucking climbs mountains all day and that's like his thing, right? Maybe this guy like loves going to basketball games, whatever. Like picking something, one little thing, mentioning that is enough rapport, right? As long as it connects, it's rapport. Whether all this bullshit, waste of time, slow, everyone knows what you're doing. We're all just anxious, ready to just end the conversation about whether it's so freaking boring. Kids, sports, hobbies, interests, those are the things that we need to be discussing with these guys. And again, one thing, max, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, we're talking back and forth. I'm like, cool, bro, we don't have much time. And this is very key because you're setting the frame, you're setting the pace, which is very clear too. You say,
yeah,
hey, dude, I know we don't got much time. Is it cool if I just jump right in and start getting started with everything because we don't have much time and I just want to make sure I cover everything for you and cover your questions?
yeah.
Yes. Now you've taken permission from them to own the call, which is very important, right? Now I've literally asked, can I own this call? Can I run this my way? And they say, yeah, let's do it. And then boom. Now I'm in control. Now they're listening to me and I'm in charge, right? That one switch of frame from going to, building rapport to being like, cool, we don't have much time. I want to achieve all these things here now for you. Is it cool if I just take over and run it? Yes. Boom. I'm in charge now. Period, point blank. If anything happens, it gets loose. Hey, bro, listen, I told you we didn't have much time. There's so much more I got to cover. Just let me do my thing. You know what I mean? Boom, they
100%.
step back. They remember that they agreed to it, and then you move forward. Makes sense? Give me a yes in the chat. Very important, guys. This
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 is this
this
is the
is
most
what lets you
important.
close people at the end.
Yeah, this is the most important. For context, guys, I've watched like 500 call reviews this year alone. The number one reason sales reps lose control is in the first 60 seconds of the call, right? And I'll say this: be careful. I hear what Eddie's saying as far as like you want to connect with them, but Eddie also has more authority than everybody else, arguably in this room because of his status in the company. You're talking to the CEO of bad marketing. Some of you guys, nobody knows who you are. You need to be even quicker to getting started. And so for me, I'll give you guys my exact starting for every single call because I think this is important. This is going to go off the next point here, which is introducing yourself as a CEO. Your role, guys, of your company is really important. If you're talking to businesses, they want to know that they're talking to the business owner. I know a lot of you say that you are the account executive or you're the head of partnerships at your own company. You need to flex that you guys are the CEO. So this is what that would look like. Okay. Hop on the call. I'm like, hey, it's going. How's the day been so far? They're like, good. I'm like, cool. Are you cool if we jump right in? They're like, yeah. Be like, hey, so my name's Curtis. I'm the head of partnerships at Bad Marketing. On this call, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions so I've got a better understanding of your business. And then after that, I'm going to walk you through our packages and pricing and everything you need to know about us. How does that sound? Exactly like Eddie said, you get permission, but we're now taking control over the call. Important key here thing, guys. You are saying who you are and what your role is as a flex of status, right? And if you're the CEO, it's even better, or the owner. Then you're telling them, I'm about to ask you a bunch of questions. So now they know that you're about to do discovery. And then third, you're telling them what they're going to get later. So now they're not going to go, well, what's the price? Because they know that you're going to tell them later in the call, right? You're setting this expectation. Now going back to this frame concept, right? If somebody's cutting me off going like, hey, well, what's just the price? They're the ones being rude because I told them I'm going to tell them the price later and they're just not being patient. So now when I set the expectation again, they're going to feel bad because they're not the one following the process that we already agreed on, right? So little things like that go a long ways.
Two things before you skip slides. Just I want to reiterate a couple things and something that we didn't touch on enough. One, You guys are asking if you're not the owner, what do you do? Head of partnerships. That's what I call Curtis. And
Yeah.
here's how I frame it. I say no one's allowed to work with us unless Curtis gives approval. Okay.
Awesome.
And in any case, Curtis says the same thing, right? I'm head of partnerships. I'm the last person that decides if we are accepting or declining a client in order for our team to work with them. It's my final decision, right? And so this now puts the prospect in the situation of like, I don't need to talk to the CEO, right? Because I'm literally talking to the dude who is the decision maker as well, right? And also what it does is it reframes them to be think about the relationship of like when you're hiring someone, that interview, how that feels if they're trying to get the job. That one frame switch makes them switch from qualifying you to them feeling like they have to qualify themselves to you and tell you why their business is awesome and why they should work with you. And the whole situation changes, right? Besides thinking, oh, it's a fucking another sales guy who's gonna pitch me. Now it's like shit, I need to make sure Curtis relays to the team that I'm a good business to work with and that I can be successful with their system, right? Number two, look at this calendar invite. This is like the simplest shit, guys, but like half of you guys don't do it, I guarantee it. Literally, Eddie Malouf, organizer. Number one, organizer. We're always organizer. That's what Curtis was always saying. Like they book on our calendar. Number two, look at all the pictures on the list, guys. This is a company that raised 8 figures of cash, right, and just exited a company for 9 figures before, and none of them have pictures on their Gmail. And by the way, if you could see it in a video, ours are actually animated. So if you open it, it's us, then it switches to the bad logo, then it switches back to us. It's fucking sick. It's a GIF. You can literally just make a GIF, upload it in Google and crush. That being said, that little change, guys, I promise you, we're a marketing company, right? We're not a fucking accounting firm. We're not boring. We're marketing. So, like, every detail that you do that is unique and different in the path of the sales process, down to a GIF moving picture in your emails, because they see it in the emails and they see it in the calendar invite, they assume that you are better than them at the thing that they are trying to hire you for, right? If they have no picture and I have a fucking moving picture, they automatically assume this guy knows some shit that I don't. As crazy as that is, as small as that is, guys, they're hiring us for marketing services, whether you sell apps online, whether you sell to contractors, I don't care who you sell to. That alone, that little piece of status goes a long way in the back of their head. I promise you. I've been on sales calls where people literally tell me, like, bro, that picture is so sick. I can't imagine what else you guys know and do that we have no fucking clue about, right? And that's not like he's the only person to ever think that. He's just one of the few people that have ever actually said it out loud because they also don't want to lose status in the sales conversation, right? So no one's going to tell you they thought this fucking gift shit was cool. But I can't tell you how many people sign up with us and the first fucking thing they do is, yo, can you guys make me a fucking gift profile picture on my Gmail? Which tells me that they were fucking thinking about the shit from the beginning of the fucking sales conversation, right? But these guys aren't going to tell you that because, again, just like we're trying to gain status, they're also trying to not lose status, right? And so, very important, small points, guys, they go a
Yeah.
long way, I promise.
Finally, before I move on here, guys, there's a lot of little things that we've just mentioned, and all of them stack up to create a really great, unexpected experience, right? All right, cool. So this next section, we're going to rip through relatively quickly. The frame, again, is the most important part. So I wanted to cover that the most, but the rest of this part of the sales process is going to be a little bit more faster pace. So we've just set a really strong frame. We've shown that we are the expert. We show that we're in control here. This is our sales process. This is our call. Now we're going to take them through a sales process that allows us to get to know every single thing we need to know about this company to showcase that
Oh,
we are the
Curtis,
expert.
before I need some feedback. There's a few hundred people in here. Feedback. How's it been so far? Are you guys getting value? Is everything good? Hit me in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. Be honest. Be
Flawless.
honest. Be honest.
Good,
Be
only
honest. Be
good. Come
honest.
on.
Be honest. Be honest. How's it been?
GIF ideas fire, Eddie. This is what everybody's going to take out of this event.
Let's go. All right. Keep going, Curtis. Keep
All
going.
right, beautiful. So we've set a really strong frame. We are now going to get into our discovery process on the sales call. And again, guys, I do this on every single call. We are going to open up and ask them that first question. The goal here, guys, is to move through this relatively quickly. You guys should not be coaching on your sales calls, meaning when we are asking questions, we need to be making sure that we're keeping a fast pace, asking detailed questions, and ideally questions that they can answer. that showcases that you guys know their business better than they do. This is something that Eddie is world class at. I've watched him get on calls with like lawyers and big mortgage broker firms, and he's asking them questions about their own company in their lingo that they don't even know how to answer, right? He's positioning himself as the expert. So, opening question, I keep it relatively simple. I'm not a big fan of some of these like opening lines of like, what's your biggest challenge? Because some of your bigger clients are going to be like, I don't have a challenge. And now we're starting the call in kind of like a weird spot of like trying to have to reclaim that. So I always start with a very specific pinpointed question, something along the lines of like, hey guys, so on this call specifically, what are you hoping to get out of marketing, like with bad marketing, or on this call specifically? And I direct them down this conversation of let's talk about marketing, because that's what we're here to talk about. Some of you guys are like, cool, tell me what you want to talk about. And they just start talking about their aunt and sister and like all these random stories, and they talk for the first 15 minutes of the call. We want to pinpoint them and lead them down a specific direction. Okay. This one's super simple.
If you're an agency owner or an info product owner who is looking to increase the productivity of your sales team, you're looking to get coached on your sales, understand better frameworks, and understand how to manage a team better as well, me and Curtis have actually partnered up together. We've been doing this for about 6 months now as of the time that we're posting this video. We work directly with agency owners and info product owners to not only coach, but place closers as well, and ongoing training in regards to call reviews, setting up how the frameworks are to be able to sell more, being able to manage the reporting of the sales team as a whole, and everything in between. Consider it the most elite level of sales coaching, but specifically for the agency space as well as info products. These are the two areas we've been selling in. We've done multiple tens of millions of dollars in these two verticals all through our sales processes, and we want to basically pass those on. So I'm not going to get into all the crazy stuff, but you can see here on the screen a couple screenshots of other people who are in the program, who are seeing the results that they are, whether it's increasing their price point, whether it's being able to close more people. The goal here is to sell more on less leads. That way you can be less stressed as a business owner and do more. So if you're interested in that, go ahead, click the link below in the description, and you can apply today to see if it's a good fit for you and your team.
Next, M&M. So this section of the call, we're going to be talking about marketing and metrics. Now, you guys would replace this if you're a content agency. It's going to be content and metrics, for example. Okay. I want to know, what are you currently doing? How is that going? Is it going well? So for example, what is your guys' main marketing channel right now? Oh, we're doing Meta. Cool. How much are you spending on Meta? Right? I want to know these details. I get an idea of their entire landscape of their marketing. At Bad, we sell all the services, right? We do everything on the paid marketing side. So I'm going to ask about everything. Google, Meta, email, TikTok, content. What does your content team look like? And we have this discussion. Once I have an idea of what their marketing system looks like, I'm also asking like, cool, what's not working? And this is where we start to get comments of like, well, the agency we're working with, performance is horrible. I can't get profitable. We're having XYZ problem, right? And we're going to go dig deeper into those things. I have a little saying, go 3 layers deep. So if somebody's like, yeah, our marketing's not working right now, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Corey, that's a Corey line. If you're here, I could go to you. What do you mean? And then they're going to go a little bit deeper. Well, the last agency, blah, 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 blah. I want to go another question deep, right? 3 layers deep. Sweet. So like, what do you guys want that to look like? And now we're going to have a full picture of exactly what they're looking for. Now going into the metric side, this is the most important thing, you guys. Metrics, and I'm going to give you examples of this, is what's going to show us how much money our prospects are making. Okay. Which is going to go to the end of this call when I talk to you guys about how to close bigger deals. If you do not know how much money this company is keeping every single month, how are you going to price yourself appropriately? You can't. So I call it question stacking. I'm going to start with really easy questions, and then I'm going to end with the heavy hitting questions. What's your revenue? What's your profit? Okay. So I start with questions like, what's your CPA? And sometimes people are like, I don't know what CPA is, right? Now we have a position of authority. I'll ask, what's your AOV? What's your conversion rate of your website? And I'm getting all these metrics, right? This one I got from Eddie. I always ask, what's your 6-month LTV in the e-commerce space? It's your lifetime value per customer. I've asked 9-figure brands this, and they can't tell me. Almost every single person has to say, I don't know. So now I'm in authority because they don't know something that I'm asking them, right?
So
and
like I'll give examples. Like in like local business space, for example, I would be asking like, you know, what is your average customer return rate? How often does a customer return in the first 30 days after visiting the first time, or 6 months, or whatever it is, based on the kind of industry that you're in, right? What percentage of your customers give you referrals within a month after you've done the job that you're doing? So like if you're a roofer or contractor, right? What percentage of your customers, do you track this? What percentage of your customers actually give you referrals at 1 month after you guys have done the job, indicating that you guys have done a good job and also getting more referrals from these people. Oh, we don't really track that number, but I think, and here's the thing, whenever someone just goes like vague and you can just tell, oh, I'd say like probably like definitely like 1 out of 5 people, definitely 1 out of 5. And I'm like, okay, cool. So you don't actually track it. You know what I mean? And when you ask it that way with that tone, it's not condescending, I promise you. It makes them realize they have a gap in their business that you see that they do not. And that is one of the biggest keys in back to the beginning. They will hire who they think can do the best job. This is one of the biggest keys, guys. And this also frames you as an expert too. When you're able to ask specific questions that are that if you went to buy a business, here's how I think. If I was gonna go buy this business, what are the numbers I want to look at, right? What are like the real numbers outside of a P&L that tell me if this is a good business, if it isn't a good business, and find opportunities to improve, and tell me how much I can spend on marketing, all these things. Write down all those things that you would want to know if you're going to buy a business in the industry that you're going after. And do me a favor and just pick like the top 3 and ask these on every single sales call, because when they think and they clearly don't actually track it, you, without saying it, have now identified an insane gap in their business that they now realize they have a blind spot. And the reason anyone has a blind spot is because they can't overcome that blind spot themselves. That's why it's called a fucking blind spot, right? But if someone else can come in and give them that direction externally, they now feel confident in paying that person to help them in their business, right? And so very important, these little marketing and metric questions, guys, like it's things that you actually want to know, and it's things that they actually don't track. And when you can combine both of those, they feel like, man, I can't believe I haven't thought of this before. And that is what you need out of the framing.
100%. So kind of going back into this concept of the question stacking. So we're asking all these great heavy hitting questions that they ideally can't answer, putting us in a position of authority. What's happening is now we're kind of subliminally creating a little bit of doubt that they don't know as much as we do. Exactly where we want to be, right? Now they're going to trust us more. But again, guys, some of the feedback that our sales teams get is before we even pitch services, people are like, Curtis, you asked better questions than every other agency I've talked to. That is a sign that you guys are playing the right game, right? So I am asking all these easy questions, right? But this is the thing. When you answer, when a client answers all these easy questions, it's painted a picture of how much money they're making, right? I know how much they're spending on ads. I know what their cost per acquisition is. I know what their ROAS is. I'm asking all these metrics. And now what happens is when I go to ask for what's your profit margin, they're not going to be like, well, why do you need to know that? Because they know, like, oh, I've just given them all of this ammo. If I don't tell him, then it's like, that'd be kind of weird. They naturally, and there's a pace to it. So they naturally just tell you, oh, profit margin is 40%. Oh, cool. What'd you guys do for revenue last month? Oh, we did 50K. What about the month before that? Yeah, we did 60, right? And now I know exactly how much money these guys are putting in their pocket every single month. Okay. Some of you guys in the local space need to drill this home a little bit. I always like to ask questions like, cool, so what's your profit margin? Oh, it's 40%. And be like, oh, hey, most of our contractors, obviously they're paying themselves from the business. So is that 40% after what you pay yourself? Oh, well, no, in that case, then it's like 10%. Okay. Now I know these guys actually are making like $1,000 a month. Probably not gonna be able to afford our services. Now we've just overcome the price objection. You guys see how important this is? I will never get it's too expensive, because at this point in the call, I have qualified them to know if they can afford us or not. And if they can't, I'm going to sell them something else, or I'm going to end the call early because it doesn't make sense to work with them, right? Now I'm not pitching somebody that's just going to give us a hard no. So this is where we overcome all of our price objections. And also this is where we start to pitch higher pricing. Cool. Next section. So this is story, marketing metrics. We get right into their business. Last thing I want to say about this.
Important question
Yeah.
real quick. This is a good one by James. What do you say if someone you ask a question about a metric and they say they don't know, they don't track it? Do you just move on? Yes, we obviously move on, because what are we gonna do? Try to figure out how to track it on the call. It's obviously a waste of time. And now again, we're misdirection, right? But what we are doing is helping emphasize how important it is, right? So I'm like, oh, damn, I would really track that. Here's how you would track that. I would go back and do XYZ, and you can probably pull that number later on today. But for your sake, I don't say like for me, get it back to you. I say for your sake, as you know, in this case, whatever, ecom business owner, as an ecom business owner, for your sake, I would definitely be tracking this number every single month. Like this number will allow you to understand how much you can spend on ads, blah, 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 blah. And I'm giving them I'm basically edifying the number, right? Like, here's why you need to get the number. And if you don't, you're basically you have a massive blind spot in the business. And that is all I need to take away from it. I don't need to sit here and dig in and help them track it and do all this stuff. I just need them to understand that they have a blind spot and the importance of that blind spot.
And then you can help them with that blind spot.
Yep.
Cool. Next section. We are going to be talking about agencies. Guys, a lot of you guys are getting objections if I got to go talk to other agencies. I've been burned by agencies in the past. Give me a one in the chat if you guys have gotten that objection before. I've been burned in the past, right? Everybody hears this on calls. So literally everybody, how do we overcome this, right? In the discovery. So I'm going to ask questions. Cool. So have you guys worked with an agency before? They're like, yeah, we've worked with like five. Five? What happened? And I'm going to just let them rant to me. Well, this happened, this happened, this happened. Oh, why do you think that happened? The team spread thin, right? Their communication's really slow. They're not being proactive, right? Oh, it was too big of an agency. It was too small of an agency. And I get them to vent to me about all these problems. And I start to create a little bit of doubt and I get curious and I go, man, how long has this been going on for? 6 months. How much are you guys paying them? Right. And I have this like fun energy about it. And they'll tell me, oh, I'm paying $5,000 a month for this other agency. Beautiful. Now I know exactly how much they're comfortable spending on agency services. I know all the pain and what they've gone through in the past. And I know exactly how now I'm going to position bad marketing. Really good example of this. Okay. I find out that and another question I'll ask them is like, what are you looking for in your next agency? So they'll tell me, they'll be like, cool. So I want to work with a special agency that only does email marketing. I don't want to work with this big agency that does all these different services and they're not an expert in just email. So now I know as a full service agency, that's probably going to be a bit of a concern or objection, right? Or they might say, I want to work with a small agency. Right? We're a big agency. We got 200 employees. So what I do now is in my pitch, in the first pillar of my pitch, when I talk about our agency, I frame it exactly for what they're looking for and I overcome that objection. So I know you're looking for an expert agency, but in my opinion, it's actually way more valuable to have a team that does everything because then your strategists understand your entire business. They understand what's happening on ads, what's happening on Google, what's happening on retention side of things. And they can actually make a way stronger email system because they understand your whole business. Would you agree? And they agree with me on that, right? I know you mentioned you want to work with a small agency, right? Well, we're going to have a dedicated team of around 6 to 10 people that only works with about 8 to 10 companies at once that are going to be dedicated to you, right? Now I've just given them exactly what they're looking for. And I've overcome the objection of like, well, I want to work with a specialist agency, right? And then you guys could do this the other way around. And this is the beautiful thing about it. You can frame it however you want. I wouldn't suggest working with a big agency because they are doing everything and they're going to be more generalist marketers, where for us, we only do email. Right. And you can pitch it that way and you can start to frame and shape your specific agency to fit exactly what they're looking for. This is going to overcome. So just so you guys know, we've just overcome price so far. We know exactly how much we're going to charge. We've overcome agency objections already in the discovery, and we know exactly how we're going to pitch our services based on what they're looking for. So now we're giving them exactly what they're looking for.
Okay, great. A couple of things. One question I think it's funny is, how do I position as an authority if I'm from the UK? How can I hedge that? Brother, listen, I'm going to shoot you straight here. If you have a British accent, you're already the authority in America. You know what I mean? Like,
Done deal.
we have people on our team who are in England, in the UK, and they'll literally present something on a call, and I'm just like,
Josh.
this motherfucker just sounds so smart, and he's presenting the most basic shit just because he's fucking British. So let's just say you already have the advantage. You being in the UK is not a disadvantage at all, to be honest. I think
100%.
if anything, like, the UK accent with everything that we're talking about is actually definitely an advantage. And for you guys getting all technical, which UK accent, I don't give a fuck, dude. If you're British, it's all the same shit to me. So
Josh, UK accent,
I think it's a
10%
win.
boost.
As long as you're following this framework, it's a win. And again, my like quote that I always say to all my closers, whether it's here, whether it's on info products, I always say it's always a good time to buy. It's always a good time to buy. And it's the same framework for this. Like, you can position however you want. If you're small, you trash the big guys for being too big and not giving enough attention to your account because they have too many accounts, too many team members. You're just another cog in the machine. We're smaller. We give you more, boutique focus. We know who you are by name, etc. You go up and you're bigger, then you trash all the small guys. You say, yeah, they're small. We're bigger. We have more infrastructure. Blah 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 blah. Right? Whichever way you do it. And yeah, you guys are still talking about the accents. Clearly, you guys really like this. But I'll tell you this, Canadian accent. I mean, look at Curtis, bro. He can't even pronounce overcame. He can't even say overcame properly on this call.
It's overcome.
This guy's over closing 69% back here. You know what I mean? So whatever you guys are saying about your ethnicity and where you're from and how you talk, it's your own self-limiting belief, right? It's all you. You there's a strength in every sort of, what's it called, accent that you have, right? If you're if you're Indian, I saw one guy Indian here. If you're Indian, bro, fucking everyone knows Indians are like the best at fucking Google Ads and tech, and like everyone hires developers over there. Like use that to your advantage, right? There's all these stereotypes that play based on where you guys are from. Play the strengths of those stereotypes. Don't allow someone to play the negative connotation of those stereotypes, right? How about being a woman? Do you think it's more advantageous? I think being a woman
Dude.
is the biggest advantage, to be honest, right?
100%. I prefer to work with female closers because of this. You guys can do so much more than we can butt heads really easy with dudes. You can play all these different roles and absolutely dominate. Now, last thing I'll say, we have a closer at bat. He's from South Africa, and we always say he's got a sweet voice and soothes everybody because of his accent. So it's all about framing, guys. That framing solves all of these concerns.
Be loud, you kill me. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
I love it. All right, cool. So
wait,
agencies.
last thing. This has been asked of you. Do you use presentations in your pitch? Everything we've talked about so far, no presentation. So at this point, Curtis is still just face-to-face talking with people. And if you guys want, maybe on my YouTube channel or something, I'll show you guys like how we do our presentation. I know Curtis, like for the people that he coaches, he gives them all our presentation frameworks and stuff like that. But on the local business side, we do a presentation again after all this. We do a presentation talking about the story and how we started and blah blah blah. But like honestly, like high majority of our calls, we never pull up a single presentation. The only presentation we have on any sort of ticket that's pretty large in the business is just a pricing sheet. It's just a deck with price, email marketing, here's how much we charge, lead gen, here's how much we charge, etc. And we don't do that. It's literally all just us talking. For those asking how long it's going to be, we're trying to wrap this up before the 30-minute mark. So 20-30 minutes, we'll be out of here. I just want to make sure you guys have time for some Q&A too, so we can add open Q&A here.
Cool. The next sections we're up through relatively quickly. Just so you guys have context, the discovery should be the first, like it's about like so let's say 75% of your call should be discovery. Like you should have 20 minutes of deep discovery, 25 minutes of deep discovery, and then pitch should be like 8-10 minutes long. It's super short and sweet. And we won't do too much of that today, but shoot super short and sweet. So I don't really share any demos. Demos should really be used it depends on your guys' business model. If you're working with people who do not understand marketing and who've never worked with an agency before, it's helpful to have a demo deck. If you're working with established business owners that have worked in marketing before, you don't need one. Cool. So moving on here, when it comes to the next section of our discovery, we're going to talk about T and T. So this one for us, it's going to be timeline and team. So again, we're covering a timeline objection. So when are you guys looking to solve this problem? When are you looking to find your next agency? Everybody's going to say it's a yesterday problem. Now at the end of the call, they can't give me 2 weeks because they've told me this problem is a yesterday problem, right? The next question I'll dive into, these ones are quick ones, is like, cool, what does your team look like? What am I looking for? Do you have a business partner? So ask questions. How many employees do you have? Do you have any executive team members? Do you have a business partner? They say yes. Always ask, is it an equity partner? Because a lot of people who have a business partner might actually not be an equity partner, means that they're the decision maker. And now we can overcome the partner objection. Okay. So now we've covered most of the objections already. Now, last part, we're going to talk about outcome and goal. I use this.
Wait, on the timeline thing.
Yeah.
Something you guys will realize, and this is something I just do naturally. Someone said this like way earlier. Someone, which I've never heard it said this way in the chat. They said like commission breath stinks. I think it was Isaac. I don't know who that is in the chat. Weird, like IZA something, but commission breath stinks. This was a cool way to put it. So basically, like what I'm always doing on the call is I'm finding every opportunity to take away the possibility of working with us, right? Every possibility. So I'll give you an example. Timeline. They go, oh yeah, it's not really like something that's like super urgent right now, like maybe in the future. I would go like, okay, cool. Well, you want to just like leave the conversation until then? Like if it's nothing you guys are gonna like need to do now, like a lot will change between now and then. We could just like push this conversation to later and we don't have to go through all this, right? Like I'm always taking it away from them. Always. 10 times a call for all I care. Every chance they give me that's like an objection or some sort of like bullshit frame that they give me to like avoid having pressure of a close, I'm just like, cool, no worries. If that's not the case, then we just do it another time. And they're like, no, 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 it's cool. We'll do it now. Like we could start now and then just like let the other agency like, kind of do something else in the meantime while the contract ends. And like, boom. Now what they're doing is they're now trying to pull me back and being like, no, 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 no. Like, here's all the reasons you should still work with me right now, right? And then this is how the answer. This is how you create urgency, guys. Does it happen often? It happens a lot more than you think because these business owners, they don't want you to sell them at the end of the call, and so they want to give every excuse as to why they're not purchasing now. And so I just say, okay, cool, no problem. Let's do it another time. And then they start getting defensive, and they want to hold it, right? So
Yeah. And
cool.
just to drill this point home, guys, all of these sections must be hit on every single call, because if I miss the timeline objection, I could lose the deal because they want to think about it for the next 3 weeks. If I miss the marketing metrics and don't qualify them, I'm going to get a price objection. So you see how these things now is systemized. We hit them on every single call, no matter what, and we can create a ton of consistency around making sure we're overcoming objections and pre-dealing with objections. Cool. Again, just to recap, I know some of you guys missed it. The timeline question, all I ask is like, what's your timeline on wanting to get started? What's your timeline on wanting to get marketing? And that's it. Super simple question. It takes 2 seconds. Cool. Going into outcome and our goal. So my last question, I call it my parachute question, where if I do my discovery and I have not found any leverage, I haven't found any pain, I haven't found any reasons for them to really move forward right now, I pull my parachute and I'm like, cool, what's your goal? Right? What are you looking for? Revenue? Are you looking for profit? They'll tell me their goal and I'll be like, cool. So how long have you been trying to hit that goal for? And people will be like 2 years, 3 years. And then I'll create doubt around that. You guys have been trying for 2 years to hit this goal, right? You've been leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for 2 years on the table because you haven't hit this goal yet. And now I have this like immense amount of urgency from internal doubt going into our pitch. Okay. So I call it my like final parachute. And then also if I didn't get proper revenue numbers, I'll ask them their goal and then I'll ask them what their current numbers are. And it's a really easy way to get revenue numbers if for some reason you've missed it. Quick question. I know a few of you guys, Eric, Sean asked about 1 call versus 2 call. You should always have the mindset of closing on a 1 call. Okay. A lot of you guys are closing on 2 calls just because that's what you think needs to be done. When in reality, somebody can be closed at $30K a month on a 1 call in 35 minutes. Like you don't need to have 2 calls. So what I do is I get all of this information in a first 20 minutes of my call, right? We cover all of these topics. It's fast paced. I don't coach. At this point, I've not said anything. I'm just asking questions. The prospect is the one talking the entire time. If you look at your Fathom notes and you're talking a lot in the first half of your call, you guys are in trouble. You need to fix that immediately. Okay. So, at this point, we get our discovery. I've gotten all this ammo. I'm now going to transition into my pitch where I'm going to be talking about obviously our services, and we're going to be aligning everything that we just found out about our prospect and all of their pain and all of their needs and all their desires for the agency. And we're going to custom map out exactly what they're looking for. And we're going to show them exactly how we're going to take them to their goal, right? So we're literally going, this is where you're at. This is all the things that you want. This is where you're looking to go. And bad marketing is in the middle of that. And we're going to take you there, right? And we're paving this way of like, we're going to solve all your problems. The pitch should be around, like I said, 8 to 10 minutes long. It's super quick, guys. For me, the biggest deals that we close, Corey, be the bridge. Absolutely. Right. So the biggest deals that we close at Bad Marketing, they're always 1 call closes. Like on the info side, for example, we've got a 30K plus 30% package that we close on. It's a 1 call close. There's no demo, no presentation, no audit, no nothing. It's about 35 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on the client call. And that's it. It's just a 1 call process. In the e-com side, I will try to close a brand. And if I can't, if I get logistic objections, they're in an agreement with another agency. For some reason, I pull another parachute where I will then go and set up an audit and we'll audit their process. So now I have a second chance to close them. This was a big shift for me. I had 2 mentors basically tell me that I was being a little bitch and I was putting everybody into audits on every single call. And I actually switched my mindset to try to close everybody on the first call and then use an audit as a backup plan. And we actually saw we went from a 20% 1 call close rate at Bad to a 50 to 60% 1 call close rate with every size brand, just because my mindset changed and I tried to close everybody on the first call. So always try to close on first call. And if you can't, use an audit as a backup plan to get a second call booked. Cool. Oops. Push. Cool. So pitch and pillars. I'm going to keep this relatively quick because this could be a lot of detail. You guys should have 3 pillars in your sales pitch. Okay. Keep it simple. Your first pillar should always be you guys, right? Bad marketing, Eddie Malouf, the story, what we do, who we work with, why we're great. We're solving now all of their agency concerns. Remember how you said this about the agency? Well, this is how we do it. Remember how you said this? Well, this is how we do it, right? The first pillar is always about your agency, what makes you great, and your experience. Maybe this is where you flex a little bit, right? We've spent $300 million in ad spend in the last 12 months at Bad Marketing. Like, we share those kind of metrics to get people really bought in. After that pitch, this is a really important point, guys. We do not want to talk at our prospects for like 20 minutes straight. We need to make it something that we're getting buy-in for. So between every single pillar, we are going to do a check-in and a tie-down. So my check-in is always, does this make sense? Right? Never, do you have any questions? You guys ask, do you have any questions? You will get a no 100% of the time. If you say, does that make sense? They say yes every single time. We're training them to say yes now, right? They're buying into our process. Then I will tie them down with a really quick, do you think this is going to help you to get to your goal? Or is this kind of the agency you're looking for? They give me a yes again, right? No, this is exactly what we're looking for. Cool. I've now got them bought in on Bad Marketing. Our next pillar, I talk about marketing, or like your next pillar could be like your guys' special system that you guys do that makes you different, your AI, whatever you guys want to use. Maybe the third pillar is your data and your appointment setting team, for example, right? Or your go high level setup. That's your third pillar. And in between each pillar of the pitch, where again, does that make sense, guys? Yes. Do you have any questions? Or not, do you have any questions? Don't say that. Do you guys think this is going to get you to your goal? They're going to say yes. So that's kind of how your pitch should be shaped. Again, it should be around 10 minutes long. I know that seems really short. If you guys have a 30-minute long presentation, you guys need to change your sales process, because you're leaving a ton on the table. All of the trust and urgency is built in all the questions that we've already covered, and your pitch is just to guide them where they're looking to go. That's it. We're just bridging the gap. You guys are doing this and it's not working. This is what we're going to do to fix that problem. That's it. Keep it vague, right? And the purpose for that is then your prospects are going to ask you the questions that are most important to them, right? And now we're going to answer the most important questions instead of giving them a whole bunch of shit that they don't need to learn about, right? Or need to know about. After the pitch is done, guys, you are going to do one giant tie down before we even consider talking about price. And what that looks like for me is I go, hey guys, so before we kind of get into the next steps here and investment, are you like 100% confident that Bad Marketing and the process I just showed you is going to work to get you guys to your goal of 100K a month? Yeah, we are. Yeah. So you're 100% confident? Yeah, I'm 100% confident. I've now removed any process objections, right? They've just told me that they're 100% confident in our team. Price aside, is this 100% what you guys want to do, right? From there, we're going to go into our close. Okay. And this is something that we're going to talk about a little bit because I think it's really important for you guys. In the close, this is where we need to quickly outline what we just discussed. You guys are going to get Facebook, Google, email, TikTok, Amazon, all of that. It's going to be 20K a month. And you're going to sit there and just be quiet. And you're going to let them tell you how they feel about it, right? But we've already tied down them on the process. We know that they buy into that. We've just dropped the price. After we drop the price, we're going to tie them down on the price. How do you guys feel about that? Does it make sense for your budget? They're going to say yes again, right? Now they've just agreed to the price. They've agreed to the process. We've covered every single objection that we know they're going to have. We've now set up a perfect close, right? And we can end this call really strong. Obviously there's way more detail into the end of this call, guys. I'm just trying to keep it short for you guys. The last thing I want to cover with you guys around the pitch is the price drop and objection handling portion of this. Okay. A lot of you guys ask me all the time, how do I charge more money? Okay. My number one question for you is, have you ever asked for more money? And everybody always says no. If you want to charge more, you have to start asking for more. I got a funny story about Eddie. He is notorious for throwing big numbers out for things. And if somebody pays for it, then he goes and bills it after. So one of the first times we launched our TikTok shop offer, he was at an event and somebody was like, yo, do you do TikTok shop? And he was like, yes. And they're like, how much do you charge? And he's just like, 30K. He just threw a number out there and they said yes to it. So he started building out the TikTok shop after, and that was our price point because he just threw a big number out. And if they said, oh, that's too expensive, cool, we don't have it, doesn't matter, right? So I use a slide down the pole method. Every single call, you must pitch your biggest package and your highest price and hear them out. A lot of you guys are going, yeah, it's going to be $1,500 a month. right? And that's all you're saying. You should be going, hey, we have a package. This is what I would suggest for you guys to get to your goal. It's going to be $5K a month. And they're going to be like, oh my goodness, that's way more expensive than I was thinking. And you can start to talk to them about that. Well, why you guys feel that's expensive, right? Like, what do you mean by that, right? And then after that, you've just hit the ceiling where they're like, this is so expensive. When you drop down to your original price, they're going to be like, oh, 1,500. Yeah, that makes so much more sense for us. Really easy close. Okay. Another aspect of this is that a lot of your calls are going to start saying yes to that 5K. And now all of a sudden you're closing bigger deals. For context, in agency closers, everybody has doubled their pricing. And all it is that we just start asking for more money, a little bit more money here and there. What I have a rule of thumb, you guys should be testing your price point every quarter. So every quarter you should be adding $500 to $1,000 to your price point monthly and just see how people feel about it. And if you start closing deals at that price point, that's your new price point moving forward. This is a big one. So for me, on our info packages, for example, I will pitch a 30K price point. A lot of people just say yes. I stop talking right then and there and I close them on 30K. If they have an issue with it, I get why they have an issue with it. Then I'll be like, hey, we got this other package. It might actually make a lot more sense for you guys. It's 20K a month. And this is what's included in that package. And then they go, oh, okay, yeah, we'll go with 20K. And realistically, 20K is the price point. That's like the normal price point that we want to close them on. But we've just made it so much more appealing and so much cheaper to them because we've pitched this really outrageous price point. So I encourage you, a lot of you guys are local lead gen in here from earlier in the call. You guys are charging 1,500 to 2K. I got a lot of lead gen guys that are charging 3, 4, 5, some of them $8,000 for full service local lead gen. So it's absolutely possible in all the different industries, whether it's roofing, painting, car dealerships, to charge higher ticket. You're just not asking for it correctly. So I wanted to challenge you guys, start asking for higher pricing, and then you can slide down the pool to your normal pricing if they say no.
And we see the questions in the chat, guys. We're going to open the floor for Q&A here in like 5 minutes. So, you know, some of these really good questions about devaluing your service and stuff like that, we have really good answers to. So don't stress. I see them. We'll get to them. Don't worry about it. Just make sure to ask them again in like 5 minutes when we open it up. Cool. Josh, we got Josh in the chat. He said, oh God, I just lost. You guys are going crazy. Year on year, we doubled our retainer and still closing 60% as a team. Just for context, I believe you're coaching Josh, Curtis. Is that right?
Yeah, Josh and Kaya.
So yeah, Josh is someone that Curtis is coaching. So doubled the retainer almost and still closing 60% as a team, not CEO, as a team as a whole. So really, really sick stuff. It worked.
Yeah, it does work. So keep doing that, guys. I challenge you guys a lot. Just to clarify too on pricing, you guys don't need to add anything extra to your services to charge more money. That is a limiting belief that you have. You need to just start asking for more money. For context, the 30K package we have and the 20K package, it's exactly the same. There's no difference in the packages. In some cases, of course, you need to like add a little bit more if you guys are working with certain niches. But I'll give you a good example of this. I worked with a roofing offer. They were charging performance only when I started working with them originally. And we got up to a $3,500 a month price point for Google local service ads. And that is it. There was no go high level setup. There's no appointment setting at all. And they went from like 0 to 30K a month, just closing people on that one single service for $3,500 a month, because it's all about frame. That's it. So if you guys are doing these like massive full funnels, you guys can easily be charging 2, 3K a month. It's just all about how you guys position it and what you're providing, right? It's a value, perceived value is all that matters. If they believe that you're going to get them the result, they're going to pay it, right? And that's what everything we're talking about today is: covering a frame, being an expert, showing that we're going to be able to do things differently than them, whatever it might be, will help you guys. And then again, because we know exactly their profit margins, if they're making 20K a month in net profit, I'm not going to pitch them a 30K or 20K package. I'm going to pick them a package that makes more sense for them. And so it's like aligned with what they're looking for. Just to be clear, we're not trying to gouge people here. We want to be ethical about this. But it's really important.
Yeah. And the fact that some of you guys are saying things like $3,500 for this is nuts is the reason you can't close people at that price point, and other people are. Just
100%. Guys, the roofing niche is one of the worst niches in my opinion. The people are really aggressive. They're hard to work with, right up next to the car dealership space. It's all about frame. It's all about control. People will pay it. And if they're not paying you those types of numbers, it is a sales problem that you guys need to fix. Okay. This is why it's so important. Can you imagine if you went from $1,500 a month to $3K a month? What would that do for your business? And on top of that, if we're being more consistent now because we're following a framework, which means that every month, right? I'll give it a good example. So Josh and Kaya, I won't say the business name, they are closers at a company that does marketing for car dealerships specifically, right? In the last 3 months, they went from, I think it was like 20 to 30K in cash collected. The first quarter of the year, we did 45K cash collected, like 46K cash collected, 55K cash collected. That's super consistent. And what ended up happening is we actually bottlenecked their fulfillment team and we started closing on wait lists. And last month they closed at like 55K on a 3-week wait list to work with their team. And that is the importance of this consistency in the framework and how powerful it is, all while upping our prices and still closing at a 60%. So that's the power of what we just talked about here. And just to recap it all, guys, this is the framework. I write this down in Go High Level notes on every single call to this day. I do not wing my sales calls. I follow this framework to a T and I check them off as I go through the call every single time. And I'm going to give you guys the specific doc for being here today. That's a Google document and it breaks down the entire framework, all of the questions in each in each section so that you guys have everything covered for you. I'll give that away for free. I'm just going to throw that for you guys. I'll probably email it after so that everybody can have access to that.
And I'm a big acronym guy, just for context. So I tried to find an acronym that makes sense. This is the only one I could find, guys. So fucking deal with it. You know, tomato structure. I fucking hate tomatoes, but here we are. You know what I mean? I'm big on acronyms because I don't want to sit here and remember all these like random letters that don't really have like a sequence. So I did ChatGPT couldn't even get me this. I got this myself. You know what I mean? So hope you guys could appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, fucking if you forget it, if all things hit the wall, fucking just remember tomato. And I think you can follow the framework, and I think you'll do a pretty damn good job. So team offer is like their offer specifically, right? Like what are they doing? What are they selling? Marketing metrics, agency objection, timeline, and then outcome would be like when they want to get it done, what they want out of it, right? So
Yeah.
you know, I fucking hate tomatoes. I don't eat
I hate
tomatoes.
tomatoes,
They're
Eddie.
disgusting. But you know, today tomatoes are gonna make us money, and so you better fucking love tomatoes in the chat. You know what I'm saying?